a real nightmare for Channel 10. It's a moral dilemma. I'm surprised I haven't seen much or almost any media discussion of this. Does Channel 10 now dare to screen the expensive new series of MasterChef it's just finished filming now that one of the show's judges was yesterday morning found dead in a Melbourne hotel room? Dead for reasons the police won't explain for privacy reasons. Now, Scottish-born chef Jock Zonfrillo, on the morning of the day the MasterChef series was due to start on Channel 10, was found dead.
There's two ways this cook can go for you now. You can either fall apart or you'll collect yourself and just keep pushing forward. Now,
Channel 10, of course, cancelled last night's screening, but what does it do now with this series? You know, it said we're going to cancel it for a week, but really, can it come back in a week? It's all been filmed, and Zonfrillo is in it all. Joining me is Sophie Ellsworth, media writer for the Australian newspaper. This, Sophie, is a real dilemma. Let's start with the man himself. He's had a troubled background. He claimed in his autobiography to have been a really terrible drug addict, to have come from nothing, to become one of the world's great chefs. But then one of the greats he trained with, Marco Pierre White, said he was one of many people who told the Sydney Morning Herald in a devastating profile a couple of years ago, Zonfrillo was actually exaggerating wildly. So what's been happening in his last days that might shed light on any of this?
Well, you're right there, Andrew. Jock had a very troubled background. He's spoken a lot about his drug addictions. He also got into trouble financially, several businesses that he's run. He had a lot of issues. He's had several marriages. He's had a lot of problems throughout his life. And then obviously he was found dead on very early hours of Monday morning while his wife and young children were overseas. So this was a shock for everyone. But now, I guess, looking forward, Andrew, the question remains, will this series air? And all the information I have is that executives at Network 10 and Endemol Shine, the production company, are scratching their heads. What do they do? What's the next decision? Because I suspect his funeral will probably be next week, so you couldn't think they would air the program next week. And do they air it at all? So this is what hasn't been resolved yet.
Well, I think a lot will depend on his poor wife, what she says. I mean, she could bless it as, a tribute to him, a gift, his gift to the world. I don't know. But I think a lot will depend on what she says, and Channel 10 will be sweating on that.
Absolutely, Andrew. I mean, they only wrapped up filming for this show from start to finish 4 weeks ago. So an awful lot of money, an awful lot of time, resources has gone into producing one of Network 10's signature shows. So to ditch the whole thing would be catastrophic for them commercially. And they have to think like that. They're a business, Andrew. But, of course, there's a grieving family. It's very distressing for all those close to Jock involved. So I suspect this decision will be made in the next few days, but it remains to be seen whether they air it. And they'll have to shorten it too, Andrew, because there's only specific time dates that they can run the series. They've got other shows they've got to roll out. So this is a giant headache for the network.
Wow. And you also got to factor in whether people are more or less likely now to watch it. Look, it's a terrible tragedy. Most of all, it's a terrible tragedy for his family. That's the thing. And I should say, if any viewers are experiencing mental health issues, please contact Lifeline 13 11 14, because there's nothing that can't be talked out, surely.